I'm working on a project where I needed to make some flowers and some greenery. So I thought I'd put together a quick video and show you how I made these flowers. Welcome to Crafted Sweetly. I'm Deanna. Thanks for being here. So in this video I want to show you how I made these flowers. I need them for another project that once I'm done with it, I will link it at the end of this video so that you can see what I ended up making with these flowers. But I want to show you how I put these together to have this nice three-dimension look to them, and then how I made this additional greenery for it. So let's get started. To make the flowers, I use this Card Making Magic set, and it's meant for a box, but it also has all these embellishments. It's an emerald box kit, again from Card Making Magic. I love their dies just because in one set you just have a whole slew of dies. So for this I'm only using these pieces. It's the 3 flowers, the center, and then the leaf. And this is a great time to use all those pieces of scrap paper that you don't quite know what to do with. So for this I don't need this part. I'm actually going to cut just this part out. So I'll use some tape to hold this down so it doesn't shift as I'm cutting it. And then for this one I'm going to cut, and I can actually cut all these, tear this here, I can actually cut all these pieces in one go in the machine. My little diamond press folder is a little curled up, but it doesn't matter, it totally works. And then for the leaf, I'm going to cut it from, again, another piece that I had left over. So there's the whole flower. We've got the petals, the stamen, and then the leaf, all in one pass. Okay, I like this for little projects because I don't have to get the Gemini out, so it's easy to cut these pieces. So these pieces you can poke from the back. And there's the leaf. Got stamens, and then these are a little tricky sometimes to get out, but I just kind of poke right at the edge here to lift up the flower. Okay, so there are, and this I don't need the center. So that's how I cut those out. So I'll set these aside. I do already have a bunch cut out, just so I can show you the process. And I'll show you 2 kinds. One where it's just the flower, like this. And then the other one I want to show you is how, if you want to add height to your arrangement, how to put a little wire on the flower. So what I'll do is I'm going to make both of these at the same time as far as shaping the flower. And I'm using a balling tool like this. It comes in a set, and it does have different size for these. Like you can get the smaller ones if you're making really tiny flowers, but I'm gonna use this one for these. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go around the inside of the flower. As you can see, it already is kind of cupping up. It's already sort of forming. If you want it to be a little more closed in, so this one I don't want it too closed up. But as I get to these, if I want it to close up a little more, then I go from the edge of the petal in, and it closes the flower even more. And then the bottom one, this one you can be fairly firm with the pressure. And then I go just a little bit on this one just to kind of shape it up. So that's how I shape the flower, the petals. Once I have this, for the one that's just flat, I'm using these circle foam pieces. I got these at the dollar store. And then I And because this is about the same size as the hole, I don't want to put it right in the middle because then it's gonna kind of fall through. So I'm using 2 of them for this bottom piece. And you're not gonna be able to see these once it's done. Okay, that's what I put on here for that. And then the next one goes on top, and I offset it so that it's at an angle. It's not lined up with the other petals. And then on top of this one, I do 1 more foam, and this gives it dimension so that it's not flat right on top of each other. I mean, you can certainly do that, it's just gonna give you a different look. And I offset this again. So that gives you the 3 layers. And then on top of here, what I'll do is, there is a little bit of exposed foam, but it's not enough to glue this on there, so I add just a tiny drop of art glitter glue. And this I will close up a little more because I want them to be straight up versus flat. And then just place that right in the middle. So that's the flower if you want it just on its own. Now, what do you do if you want it on a stem? For that, I'm using just floral wire. You find these, you can use these for like making gum paste flowers, and this particular one is a 26 gauge wire. I don't want it too thick because then it just looks clunky, and I want the flowers almost to seem like they're floating. So I will make a little loop at the top of this. Okay, so just a little loop, and then this is gonna go through the center of the flower here. It can rest right over here. Now you could use a little bit of art glitter glue if you're concerned with it falling off just from using the foam. So we can add just a little bit of art glitter glue right there. And then I'll add the foam pieces just like in the previous flower. So once you have that, then you've got the flower on a stem. So you can shape this, once that dries a little bit, you can change the angle of it if you want it. And then what's nice with this is you can just bend the wire a little bit, so if you need the flower in a different position, it's nice to do that. That's how you make these 2 flowers. Now for the leaves, I've cut out a whole bunch of them. If you want this on a stem the same way with the wire, then I will take the wire, and let me put this under here so you can see it a little better. This is a white one in the back, but this is green, might actually see it better. So I'll take the wire and shape it to the angle of this, because if I have it straight up, the wire is going to be sticking out, but I want it to be a continuation of the leaf like this. So I have it down to the shape right now. And then I will use art glitter glue again. Once you apply this on here, and this will dry clear so you won't see it. But once you have it where you want it, you want to move it from that original position just to make sure that it doesn't stick to the paper that you have it on. And then this is what it looks like once it dries. Dried clear. So you only see, I mean, you could actually paint this. In my project, you're not going to be able to see the back of this, but if it was something that was freestanding and you would see this, then you could color this green so that it blends in, or you could just use wire that's wrapped with green. So that's the leaves that I'll be using in there. And then the last accent piece that I wanted to show you was this. And the way I made this was, I'm using just cardstock. It's a heavier cardstock because I want it to hold its shape. I don't want it to flop over. And then wire, it's heavier wire because I don't want it to bend over I don't want it to be as thin as this because the weight of it might make it fall over. What I'll do is I folded it in half, and the length of this is really up to you. You know, if you want a grass that has longer pieces like this, then you could make this wider. This particular one is right about 1.25 inches here. I will eventually cut this in half, but I wanted to, it'll take me instead of cutting each piece separately, I just bent it over so that it's easier to cut. This, I stop like right close to the edge. I leave about 1/4 of an inch away. And this takes a little bit of time. You want to make sure that you're close to the edge, but not completely cut it off. One way you can make sure that doesn't happen is I take the wire, or if you don't have the wire, you can use a skewer like this and just hold it right here. So that's gonna prevent your scissors from completely closing all the way down because you're ready to cut the skewer. So it's all gonna be cut to the same distance when you do this, because you're kind of stopping right at the same point. The thicker this is, the shorter your cut is gonna be. So I'm gonna use this. And actually, as I'm cutting this, I realize that it's easier than trying to hold this right at the edge here. If you place your wire right inside, then you can't cut, and it's much faster than trying to also balance that right at the top. So once you've cut this, that's what this looks like. And I will take this, open it up, and then cut it in half. So that by doing it in two, it kind of sped up the process so you don't have to cut each one individually. And then I run my nail along the edge to kind of give it a curl already so that it's easier to put on the wire. Then I'll apply some glue, and I'm actually putting glue on both sides. Just the thin layer. It'll help with, as I'm rolling it on, for it to glue to the stick and then also onto itself. Now the process to put this is, I start at the top and then I'm going to spiral it down. I'm keep going a little bit lower as I'm rolling it. Now this wire is already coated, so it's a wire that has the paper on it. It makes it easier to stick to it. And right now that's all kind of sticking up, but I'm not concerned about that. We'll fan it out once I get to the bottom. And I'll do the same with this piece. So there is the grass. And the only thing left to do with this is just kind of fan out these pieces so that it's not quite so close to the wire. And these are thinly cut, but if they do not need to be even. So I've got the stems that are the flowers that have the stem, and then the ones that are without. And then a whole bunch of leaves on the wire and some without. And I made the flowers in all kinds of different color combinations because I think it'll just add some interest to my arrangement once I put it together. Alright, so I hope this video was helpful with making one other type of flower. You don't always have to stack them on top of each other. If you have any questions, please comment below. If you make these flowers, I would love to see them. You can post pictures in my Facebook group. In the next few days, I'll be sure to put that video of how I used all these flowers in an arrangement. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next project.